hours to the young people here and work out. Now you make it such a formal occasion with the Silver Jubilee occasion and a formal lecture. I'm very honored, I'm very delighted to have this opportunity, but all those list of prizes that you are giving, don't get very impressed by that because they couldn't figure out what to do with me. So they just go in awards and get rid of it. So it goes on, and because I do things which is sometimes very puzzling to people, because I enjoy doing it, and I thought this is the way it should be done. And what I was trying to do is something that comes in front of me just like everybody else, and I try to jump at it to see if there's something that I can do. And that's how it created a series of things, one after another. It's not that I did any research about it or I had planned anything about it. It's not like that. It's most of the work is just a spur of the moment reaction. You see things and you can't accept it and you kind of jump at it. Why is it like this? Why can't it be something like that? That's how it began. I'm a village guy, village kid, grew up in the village in Bangladesh, and then moved to the city because my parents moved. And the rest of it is just a normal kid that all of us go through. And I got the scholarship to go to the States as a Fulbright scholar, and did my PhD there, started teaching in one of the universities there. So enjoyed the life, enjoyed very much. But I always wanted to come back to Bangladesh. And then big thing began between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Bangladesh was a part of Pakistan, if you remember, it was East Pakistan. But we didn't get along very much. So there was a military intervention in East Pakistan, and we rebelled. We wanted to have a separate country of our own. And I'm still in the States at that time. And I fully joined and participated in moving it to independence of Bangladesh all over the United States, campaigning for it. And when finally Bangladesh became independent, thanks to the support of all the Indians, they have tremendous support for us. And it was an exciting moment that finally we could do things on our own. We don't have to get through all this political trouble that we had. So I immediately resigned from my job in the university. I thought, this is a good time to go back. This was 1971. Many of you were not born at that time. Came back, and full of enthusiasm. Now that the country is independent, you can do lots of things you want to do. You can shape the country in the images of your dreams. All the young people dream about their life, about their country. So I started teaching in one of the universities there because I loved teaching, which I did in the States. Then I started teaching back in home. Chittagong University, a city in the southeast of Bangladesh, a port city. And I was enjoying it. But the country was kind of moving very fast downwards economically and so on. It's a devastated country. Hardly anything there after the liberation war. But situation got so bad in 1974, we had a terrible famine in the country. People were dying of hunger. You read about famine in the books, and you see how terrible it feels about people dying of hunger. People die from diseases that we know this is what happens. People die of old age. People die of many reasons. But people dying of hunger is the most unacceptable way that one can think of. Just somebody doesn't have enough to eat day after day. and gradually slides into debt. And I didn't imagine that I'll ever see famine in my life. I was so enthusiastic about economics, which I teach. It's such an elegant subject. What a beautiful way everything has been designed in that. As a student, I was very impressed. As a teacher, I was very enthusiastic about teaching those marvelous theories and so on, elegant theories. But I didn't realize that in this day of all this knowledge of economics and everything else, people die of hunger. It's not reading in the newspaper, it just happens right next door. It shook me up completely. I couldn't believe that I could live through this. And I blamed myself. I blamed myself for learning economics. I thought that's a completely useless subject. Why did I learn this? It has no meaning whatsoever. Because with all those things that is in your book, if you really knew anything, people would not die. Economics has no power to save people from death by famine. So what kind of subject is that if you have no knowledge how to protect people? I said it's an empty subject. For the first time, I moved being at the peak of enthusiasm to all the way to the bottom of a feeling that is a subject which is totally useless. And I felt empty. I felt useless myself. I said, I have no use for me. Then I was trying to understand, what do I do with myself? I thought for a while. Then I decided, okay, economics is gone. I'm not going back to it anymore. Why don't I go back to people, to the village next door to the campus? You see, the Chittagong University is a new, beautiful university, but constructed right in the middle of villages. So any direction you get out of the campus, you go to the village. So I said, this is it. I go outside the campus, beautiful modern campus, and outside the campus is a century-old village of Bangladesh. All the poverty, all the problems, all the famine and everything. So I started going to the village every day. My ambition, I made it very clear, is to see if I can make myself useful to one more person every day. I thought I have no ability to do anything for the whole world, but I can definitely be useful to another person, one more person, that's all. So I'll spend a lot of time in the village to see today what can I do? Can I make myself useful to another person? And the village is full of so many problems. Being useful to another person was not a big deal. There's so many of them. Just do something and it helps. So as I did every day, I started feeling a little better that, okay, I'm not totally useless. I have some use for somebody else. Then it led to many things. I will not get involved with it, just to tell you a story that took me a longer path. As I became familiar with the village people, every day I go there, I meet them, people know me, I know them. But I started discovering Bangladesh completely differently. I never read this in the book. It's a real Bangladesh. How people live with their problems, everyday problems. One thing hit me very hard in the village: loan sharking. People giving tiny loans to another person and grab everything out of that person. I read about loan sharking in the storybooks, in the novels, in all kinds of things, but I never seen face to face what the loan sharking is. I meet the victims of the loan shark, a terrible story she has to tell me or he has to tell me. And I meet the guy who does the loan sharking, lend the money. And I cannot believe that people can be so cruel to each other in the same village. And I felt totally bad. I felt ugly inside of me, that how can this go on? And I started realizing that this is not only in this village, this is in the next village and the next village and the whole of Bangladesh. Then I realized it's not only whole of Bangladesh, it's the whole world is a victim of this. And nobody does anything about it. Maybe it's impossible. People say it's impossible to do anything. Maybe nobody tried anything. I got very worried what to be done. Suddenly an idea came to my mind. Why don't I lend the money myself? If I lend the money, people don't have to go to the loan shark. They will come to me. And the problem will be solved. I didn't discuss with anybody. I didn't go and explain to anybody. I just started lending money in the village out of my own pocket. I took the money from pocket and go and tell people, look, if you need money, come to me. All you have to do is just return the money. That's all. Don't worry about other things. They couldn't believe. They thought this is a new kind of loan sharking. He has something up his sleeve. He wants to make money. I don't know how he is going to get it. So they are very suspicious. Because experience have told them that don't believe what it looks like on the surface. So they didn't believe me. I said, okay, it's up to you, but this money is available. And then gradually people started coming to me for the money. They said, well, let's try how much you can do. And as things became very simple for them, they keep coming to me and I keep lending to them. It became very popular. Because there is no way anybody is taking away anything from them. And I had some money in my pocket because I earned money in the USA. I still have that money with me, so I could do that. So I got totally absorbed in this. It's so exciting. I thought it's such a simple thing. I didn't have to make a research project. You know, the teachers, professors always come up with research projects. I didn't have to do any research project. I didn't have to write up a research proposal or a concept paper, nothing. Just lend the money. And it worked. And the more it worked, more enthusiastic I became. And again, a long story. And finally, I created a bank to make it happen. It started in 1976. We became a formal bank in 1983. And we were very excited that finally we became a bank. We called it Grameen Bank. And we started expanding. And it continued and continued to spread all over the country. Today we have over 9 million borrowers in that bank, Grameen Bank. And out of them, 97% are women. And people keep asking me, how did you design this thing? What is the best advantage you have in designing this? And I tried to think, what is it that I had? What did I do? Because I was always busy doing things. I was not thinking anything. I was just doing. I said, what is it that I had in my favor that it worked? Then I found an answer to that. I said, well, as soon as that question asked, I said, you know what happened to me? The best thing I did, I never studied banking. I never learned anything about banking. I said, if I had studied banking, I have to follow the rules that I learned in the book. And if I follow those rules, I'll never do this. I'm violating every single rule in the book. If I had learned that, I'll be scared to death. But today, I didn't feel anything bad doing things because it works, it's needed, I did that. So make it more understandable the way I tried to explain. I said, in designing this bank, what I did, whenever I need a rule, a procedure, I just look at the conventional banks, how they do it. Once I learn how they do it, I just do the opposite. And it worked. They go to the rich, I go to the poor. Very simple. They sit in the urban cities, particularly the business district of the urban city. I do the reverse. I go to the remote village first. Start at the remotest place first and gradually come closer to a little bit well-connected village. But first branch must be at the remotest place. So reverse that. They lend money to men, I lend money to women. Reverse that. They want collateral. You have to have something, some wealth, some property, something, before a bank will lend money to you. I said, forget it. No collateral needed. Because if you're looking for collateral, you cannot go to the poor people. Poor people have nothing. So we dismissed the whole idea of collateral. And since we dismissed the idea of collateral, we didn't need any legal papers. Because when you ask for a collateral, you need all kinds of legal papers that you own it, you are the owner of it, and so on, everything. So now that we don't need any of those collateral, we don't need the legal papers. Since we don't need legal papers, we don't have any lawyers. So we are the only lawyer-free bank in the whole world. We have nothing to do with lawyers. And it works. Funny thing, it works. Everybody said, no, it cannot work. All your money will be gone, nobody will pay back a penny. I said, well, I did it, people are paying me back, so why should I believe you? I see what is happening. Well, maybe it's just too small a money you give. If you give a little bigger money, they will stop paying you back. I said, I'll keep giving them bigger money if they want, but I will not stop it until it happened, just because you said it. After 40 years of our work, it has not happened. People do pay back. So conventional banks are owned by rich people. If you are an owner of a bank, you must be a rich guy. Reversed it. We make Grameen Bank owned by poor women. So conventional bank is owned by rich people and usually rich men. Our reverse is owned by poor people, poor women. So you have a big bank in the country, the biggest bank in the country, owned by poor people, owned by poor women, and they constitute the board of the bank. Who are in the board? All these poor women sit in the board and make decisions about the bank. So it's all kind of upside down. And we made a rule, which is again reverse of the conventional bank. Right from the beginning, we said that we'll have a bank where people don't have to come to the bank. Bank will go to the people. So we reverse the whole thing. Two things here to share with you. Whenever you have a problem, it is the result of a process. Problem doesn't suddenly come from the top. It's a process which creates a problem. So if you try to solve the problem by tinkering with the process, it doesn't help. As my policy became, reverse the process. Because if you're going this way and it's the wrong path, you don't continue on the path, you go someplace else. So I reverse that. Whatever they do, I do the opposite to get out of it. It's a very simple rule. So following rules and still having problems, you always have a question. Maybe your rules are wrong. People are happy to jump at finding fault with the people. Say, oh, this is their fault. Absolutely wrong. It's a fault in the way you design things. It's a design fault. And this is the word I'll be using again and again, design fault. The whole thing that we do around us, lots of design fault. And banking is one. Tremendously faulty design. But we carry on as if nothing happened. Despite all our work for 40 years, you think banking system has changed? No way. They carry on their business. One of the things people tell me, and this became another struggle for me, okay, you lend money to poor women, that's fine. But you have to look for entrepreneurial poor. Because you are giving money to start a business. That's what we do. So in order to find people, entrepreneurial people, you have to look for men, because women are not entrepreneurs. So you're on the wrong path. I said, it's working for me, I have no problem. No, you can't do that, it will collapse. I said, I'll wait until it collapses. Until it collapses, I'll continue, because it's okay. It didn't collapse at all. It flourished. We continue our journey with women. We never had any doubt about it. Why did I get involved with the women? Who told me to do it with women? Again, just the conventional banks. One of the major issues that I was raising with the authorities of the governments and the Central Bank of Bangladesh, I said the banks are wrong because it denies financial services to the poor. Not only it denies financial services to the poor, it denies financial services to women. No matter if she is even the richest woman, bank will not lend money. Banks' rules are very funny. If a woman comes with a beautiful project, she has money and all, bank manager will look through the proposal and always ask, have you discussed with your husband? And if she says, yes, I have discussed with my husband. Okay. Is he okay with it? Does he like it? He says, yeah, of course he likes it. Then the manager will say, why didn't you bring your husband next Monday? We'll talk about it. So I raised the question with the bankers. Has it ever happened in the history of Bangladeshi banking? The man brought his proposal, and the manager is looking and asking, have you discussed it with your wife? Why didn't you bring your wife next Monday so we can discuss? I said, it doesn't happen. I said, that's where you went wrong. You are treating them differently. So when I began, I wanted to make sure, absolutely sure, I do not go that path. So I decided right on day one, half the borrowers in my program must be women. And that was the beginning. And it was extremely difficult to get to women. When we talk to the poor women, we'll give you money, you can start some business. No, don't give the money to me. Give it to my husband. I said, no, we are not going to give it to your husband. I'm going to give it to you. If your husband needs it, he can negotiate with the bank. But here we talk about it. He said, no, I don't know anything. I never handled money. Some will even say, I never touched money in my life. I don't want to create problem in my family. So that was the beginning. The students, I was always working with my students. They are the ones who are going around doing things. The girl students will work with the women. They said, maybe we should forget about the women part, concentrate on men. I said, no. We have to make sure we go to them and make it happen. So they don't want it. I said, no. When the woman says, I don't need the money, I don't want to take the money, always remember, this is not her voice. It is the voice of the history which made her. The history is all wrong for her. Ever since she was born, she was told it was a wrong thing to happen. It should have been a boy instead of a girl. And that is the beginning of her life. And the family, in every occasion, remind her that what a misfortune that you are a girl. So she grew up in a process of rejection. And she stays away from everything. She doesn't want to disrupt the way the world moves. She becomes a non-existent person. So now you are going with the money and so on. Do you think they will jump at the money? No way. What we have to do, we have to peel off all the fears that the history has put around her. Layer by layer. Don't give up. Someday, if we are successful, one or two of them will say, oh my God, maybe I should try. And that will be the beginning of our work. It took us 6 years to make it happen. And then we saw money going to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family than money going to the family through men. So we changed the whole thing. We focused on women. As a result, it is basically a women's bank. And the idea of microcredit has spread in many other countries. And it came to Karnataka. So lots of microcredit program here. Many of them came to Bangladesh to see, as a young people with lots of enthusiasm, they want to do something similar. They were very impressed. They wanted to come back and do it here. And many of these microcredit you see around you, at one point of time, as a young person, they have gone to Bangladesh to see how it is. How come we cannot do that? Why can't we do that? So they started make a small beginning here. And one of them is here, Suresh, someplace, who is with Grameen Kuta, and Vinata from Grameen Kuta. They came as young people. And many other, Ujjiban, another one. They came to see what it is. And many other, Isaf, and many, right from here. So all over the world, people came in to see and took that idea and initiated the process themselves. Now they became big banks and all over the country, all over the state and so on. Same way we did in Bangladesh. So the idea, simple idea. It doesn't need a big thesis or something. It's an idea which works. Now let me move into another subject of this Grameen Bank. The parents, the 9 million parents that we have, the women that we have, almost all of them never went to school. They're illiterate. We made a decision right from the beginning when we were small. We make sure their children don't repeat the history of their parents. We want to make sure their parents' generation is the last generation, which is the illiterate generation. From then on, it will every one of them will be literate, will be educated. So we made a big effort in doing that, and we succeeded. 100% of the children of Grameen Bank went to school, and and then gave them education loan to go to higher education. So became graduates, became doctors, became engineers, because all the money is coming from Grameen Bank as education loan, so nobody stopped. Many have PhDs. But it created a problem for us, which we didn't imagine at that time. They have education, but no jobs. So they go around looking for jobs and very frustrated. Bangladesh doesn't have that many jobs. We are 165 million people. Imagine how many of them are young people. Big chunk of them. 50% of the population of Bangladesh is under the age of 21. Imagine that. So lots of young people. So the frustrated young people come and complain about them. What's about the life? What do they do? There's nothing for them. I listened for a while and then went back with my idea to them. The moment they say we don't have a job, what can we do? I attack them. I say, why are you looking for a job? Who asked you to have a job? Of course, they cannot answer that question. Did your teacher tell you to have a job? Did your books tell you to have a job? They become dumb. They cannot answer. Then I say, forget about jobs. That's a very old-fashioned idea. It should have ended in the last century. But somehow it's still lingering around here. So forget about jobs. Whatever they told you, remove it from your head. You now reverse your idea. You keep telling yourself, I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. If you are a job seeker, you feel small. You are at the mercy of other people. Why should you be at the mercy of anybody in the world? A human being is not at the mercy of anybody else. That's what the human being is all about. Human being is self-contained. Human being has all the powers inside of himself and herself. It doesn't have to be at the mercy of anybody. I said, you feel like a job creator, suddenly you feel tall. You tell your friends, I'm not going to hire you because you're a job creator, see? You have that ability. They cannot figure out. What does it mean? I don't have a job. Now this guy is telling me that I have to create jobs? It's a joke. So I tell them, what's the problem with you? I say, remember how your mother got into Grameen Bank? Because you're a son or a daughter of a Grameen Bank borrower. She was in this village and she was afraid. She never had any income for herself. We brought Grameen Bank to her. It took her a lot of time to have the courage to take a loan, $30 loan, $35 loan. That's the biggest amount she could think of from the bank. And it was such a struggle for her to kind of get that courage to ask for that $35. And she did that. And she took that money. And she started a business. And ever since, your mother took it 20 years, 25 years back. Now she has moved step by step. If your illiterate mother can become an entrepreneur with a $35 loan, what's wrong with you? With all your education, all the knowledge about the world, you can't start a business. You are not as good as your mother, illiterate mother. Something terribly wrong with you. Some of them say, well, we don't have any idea. Your illiterate mother came up with an idea. If you don't have an idea, throw away that education that you've gone through. That's a wastage of time, which crippled you, which took away all the energy, all the creative power you have. We don't need that education. Education is to uplift you. Education is to unleash your energy and creative power, not to depress it. In one generation, we lost everything. Your mother has the creativity, courage, and determination. You lost everything. Your education is the wrong thing. Why don't you go back to your mother now, learn from her all over again, and see what she's doing, how she's doing, and start that business, make it big, because you are an educated person, she's a literate person. If she can bring it to that level of business, you can do it 10 times as big, 50 times as big. Money is not a problem. Grameen Bank is your mother's bank. It has unlimited money. Why should you worry about money? So they were still hesitating whether we should do. The only few came to take loans. So what we did, we created a fund, called it Social Business Fund, and asking them, come up with a business idea and we'll invest in your business. It's not a loan. We'll invest in your business. We become your partner. So if your business fails, it's our business fail. So don't worry about it. We are as much responsible as you are. So we'll not come and grab everything that you got, because we have lost too. You have 10% of the money, you have 90% of the money. So that was the beginning. We called them Nobin Uddokta, or new entrepreneur. In the beginning, only 10, 20 young people will come for a business plan, with a business plan. Now we get 1,000 young people coming with business plan every month. So it's becoming bigger and bigger. By this year, 2017, we think we can get to 2,000 per month. Their number is increasing, but we cannot cope with it because we don't have the capacity right away. So we are building our capacity to handle that. And we have no problem with any one of them. We have now 12,000 young people running their businesses. And every month we are getting 1,000 more. And maybe 1,200 more, 1,500 more in the future. So we say, we are not job seekers, we are job creators. Entrepreneurship is built into human being. I remind them, I said, look at the history of mankind in this planet. Did they come up with job applications when we were in the caves? When we were going around in one place to another, hunting, gathering? We didn't send job applications. When we were in the caves, we are not sending job applications from cave number 5 to cave number 10. Do you have a job for me? We got things done ourselves. This is our history. This is part of our DNA. So why do you forget that? So this is how we have to rediscover our things. So this is an issue now. I raise it everywhere. Whether it makes sense to them or not, I don't know. I said, I put 3 zeros in front of me. That's what moves me. That's the direction I want to go and have mobilized all the forces. Zero poverty, zero number 1. Nobody should be poor, because poverty is not created by poor people. Poverty is created by all the things we have learned. They created the poverty. So there's a lot of unlearning things to do. If you have to fix it, we have to unlearn, throw away a lot of those things, because they created poverty. And the redesigning is needed, like financial institutions. They are the number 1 in the list, which needs to be completely redesigned. Otherwise, world will not change, cannot change. They become the heavy thing. Number two, zero unemployment. Nobody should be unemployed. There's no reason for that. So that's it, number 2. Zero net carbon emission, so that the planet becomes safe. So once we do that, and how do we achieve that? I put 3 particular power behind it to make it happen. Number 1 is young people. That's why I get excited to talk to you as young people. Because you can make it happen by changing your mind. Don't depend on the things that you learn from the book. That's lesson number 1. You have to design your own thing. Imagine. Always imagination is the thing. Not what you learn, but what you imagine. Your personal imagination, not what somebody else said. Your imagination. What kind of world you want? Define it, design it. If you design it in your mind, you write it down in a piece of paper. This is the kind of world I want. This is my wish. This is my wish list. If you can prepare that wish list, I can guarantee you it will happen. Imagination is so powerful. Get your imaginations to play. Don't accept the way it is. Always design things where it doesn't exist and make it happen. Your mind will make it happen. So the youth power, youth is at the prime of your creative power. If you go away from that, your creative power will be lessened. And if you go into the jobs again, job is a kind of end of creative power because they cut you into a little piece. They don't let you be yourself. So in order to retain yourself, you design your life the way you want. Be an entrepreneur, that's what you are, and make it happen.